Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's go straight to it, inshallah. So, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the hour will not come until the furthest border of the Muslims will be in Bula. Now, where is Bula? That's something that is debatable, but just could be different options. It could be in West Africa. I think we talked about this before. Um, it could be in the Philippines, okay? And it could be, believe it or not, in Texas, okay, West Texas, all right? Or it could be in yeah, could be, so one of these three places. So I know it's funny, but Texas, United States, which, hey, it's not unthinkable, Philippines, or West Africa, okay? And Allah knows best, but the hour will not be established till the Muslim border will be in Bula. Now, inshallah, it's Texas. Then he said, Oh Ali, Ali said, May my father and mother be sacrificed for you. The Prophet said, You will fight the Romans, and those who come after you fight them until the best people amongst the Muslim, the people of Al-Hijaz, will go out to fight them, fearing nothing but Allah. They will conquer Constantinople with tasbih and takbir, saying Subhanallah and Allahu Akbar. And they will obtain the war booty, the like of which they have never seen. And they will share it out by scooping it up with their shield. Someone will come and say that Dajjal has appeared in your land, but he will be lying. Anyone who takes notice of him will regret it, and anyone who ignores him will regret Ibn Majah. Interesting here, obviously the location. There is, why not that America could be part of it. Okay, why not? Could be. Okay, that's one. Number two, that we will fight the Romans over and over again. And if you see, subhanAllah, the continuous ideological battle is with these Romans. Now, Romans, they're not necessarily mean like Italians or people of Rome. It usually was used for like white people, okay, Caucasians, under which fall the Jews as well, because a lot of these Jews are not actually Jews. They're not the ethnical Jews. They're the European Jews. They're the white people. Jews, ethnically, the Hebrews are not white. They are brown or black. Okay, something maybe you don't know, but the ancient Hebrews, okay, they are black. And if you look at um, the evidence in the Bible, in the Old Testament, so they were in the land of Canaan and Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon, part of Syria. So they would have had like Arab looking. They're Semites, okay? Assyrians, Arameans. Complexion will be Middle Eastern. Medium to dark brown skin, dark eyes, and dark hair. And the description in the Bible, okay, is like, Middle Eastern population, okay? Not European and not African, but Middle Eastern, okay? Think of modern day like Yemenis. Do you know how the Yemenis look? Modern day Palestinians, especially like Bedouins. Okay, that's how they would kind of look like. All right. But they were definitely not like white European. Okay. In the Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5, it says, I am black but comely. It's often cited, but the Hebrew word used there is like sun-tanned. Okay, it's like shorah, like exposed to the sun, dark, but not like black as in African. Okay, so that's how the ancient Hebrews would look. If you see, most if you guys have been to like London, England, or um, Eastern Europe, and you'll see the Jews who are, or New York, for example, you'll see so many. If you go to JFK, right, they're always in the airport. It's like they own the airport. But yeah, they look like proper white, like pale white. They look like Polish. They look exactly like Polish. You know, Polish are very, very like white. Okay. That's kind of how they look like. Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting to understand. And then, so you fight the Romans, and you keep fighting them. And that's what we're fighting. It seems like we're always fighting the white people in general. Okay. Like Trump. Trump looks proper white. Okay. So like again, the Prophet ﷺ used to like refer to the Persians, and used to refer to the Africans, he used to refer to Indians, Hind, and Romans would be a different ethnic race, and they were like the Caucasians, the whites. Okay. Then they will conquer Constantinople with tasbih and takbir. Now, this is a reference to, it seems, a second opening, because we have the hadith Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anh, who said, لا تفتحون القسطنطينية ولن يعمل أمير أميرها ولن يعمل جيش ذلك الجيش. Right? So at that time, it's an army based, and it is a war. Here, it will be just tasbih and takbir. It seems like people just surrender. It could refer, Allah knows best. You can see how modern and how secular is Turkey. Like, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but like half of Turkey is not really Muslim. They don't really believe in Islam. Now, recently, there's been a little bit of a uprise and a revival, but bottom line is that there's a huge percentage, especially in Istanbul or Constantinople, right? So God knows what will happen if Erdogan falls. Now, people might not agree with everything Erdogan does and whatnot, but that's beyond the point. He's still holding the fort, all right? So there will be tasbih and takbir, and they will gain a lot of money, a lot of war spoils. Here, I do want to mention, like, right, when you fight, uh, usually it's expected to fight for the sake of Allah. But throughout the jihad injunctions, you always find a mention of spoils of war. And the reason for that is that human beings are motivated by materialistic things. But the Muslim, he has to fight his nafs, that even while he is, in a sense, is seeking sustenance through jihad, he has to have the intention to do it for the sake of Allah. However, there's a big misconception that yes, you can seek sustenance through jihad. You can have the intention, okay, to gain some spoils. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, if you're only for that, obviously, then your intention is, mess. But if you have an intention, okay, I'm doing it for Allah, but I'm going to get spoils, and it's a way of earning money. It is a way. It's like a job. It is a way of earning money. And the Prophet ﷺ is said to have said that the best of money that he has made is from jihad, okay, from his wars, okay, that he would receive usually money from Khadija radiallahu anha. That was his initial, she would be his sponsor early in his life, in his dawah. She believed in him, she invested in him. But when he started jihad, then that's where, and the best of bounties, or the best of um, salaries or money, is that through jihad. Okay, because that's the way the Prophet earned a lot of his money. Now, he would give that money, and he definitely did not die with that money, but he would still earn it, and he would still use it and give it to people and help and this and that. The bottom line is that's how it was. Okay. So, like Hajj, for example, you are allowed to have an intention when you go for Hajj, have a business, or to do business, to work. You understand? It's one thing, but you cannot, for example, make business with a, for example, masjid, or business with your salah, or business with certain things. You cannot. But you can make business with zakah, for example. So the person who collects the zakah, he can get the money or part of the money, isn't it? Right? He can be hired and make money through that. He can seek his sustenance through zakah. You cannot make money through fasting. It is haram. You see, so you cannot make money through salah or through la ilaha illallah. But you can make through hajj. You can make through zakah. Okay? You see different things. A lot of people are like, no, you didn't do it for the sake of Allah. Blah, blah, blah. No, it's not like that. It depends on what your intention is and for which of these ibadat. So hajj is an ibadah, but combined with it, you can do business, right? So you can have almost like, and can we even say maybe a mixed intention? Allahu alam, right? Now, hijrah. Hijrah, you cannot do a mixed intention. You either do it for the sake of Allah or you do it for dunya. It is not, this is a big misconception. It is not haram if a person makes hijrah to a Muslim land because he wants to marry or make money, because the Prophet did not condemn it. He said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ومن كانت هجرته للدنيا يصيبها وامرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. So you see here, it's like, okay, if you migrate for Allah and His Messenger, then that's your niyyah and you get rewarded for it. But if you migrate for dunya, some business or money or a woman to marry, then that's what you get, right? It's not going to punish you. It's just that you will not get the reward of hijrah. So I can move to Jordan or Malaysia or something intending hijrah, get the reward, or I can move to Qatar or UAE intending money. Both are acceptable. One is a big reward, forgiveness of sins, and one is just I'll get my money and whatever, better life and so on, but I won't get. So it's all about an intention. But you see, in hijrah you cannot put a double intention, but in hajj, okay, I'm going to go for hajj to fulfill the manasik of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'll make business and so on. Or I will be a zakah collector and I will make money from it. Okay, or I'll go to, right, to if a man fights in war, he also gets the spoils of war. He gets, so many different things, right? If not, then you would just do it for nothing, right? Just for Allah. All the mujahideen, the Sahaba, all of them obtained spoils of war and divided it in the process and divided, and he even took some. Okay, now, and we know that the khums, the fifth is for Allah and His Messenger from jihad. Okay, that's just the way it is. The Prophet could be like, no, I leave it for the sake of Allah. No, he would get a fifth of all the spoils of war. Now, all right, Nafi' ibn Utbah said, the Prophet ﷺ said, you will attack Arabia and Allah will enable you to conquer it. Look at that. You will attack Arabia. Oh, how? Why? Wait a second. How come? Okay, how come you'll attack Arabia? And Allah will enable you to conquer it. Then you will attack Persia, and Allah will enable you to conquer it. Then you will attack Rome, and Allah will enable you to conquer it. Then you will attack the Dajjal, and Allah will enable you to conquer him. This is Sahih Muslim. Now, obviously, the Muslims already conquered Arabia. Could be that it already happened. It also clear that we conquered Persia. Rome, not yet. Yet we did conquer many places. Now, Rome, does it mean Rome as in like Rome in Italy again? Or does it mean like the lands of the whites? Okay, you have to understand. So it could be that we have already conquered parts of that, right? A lot of the areas that were part of the Roman Empire, including Anatolia, the eastern side of Europe. There was, this would all belong to the Byzantine Empire, which was Rome, basically. Okay, you understand? But it also could be that there'll be a return to Arabia, because I mean, it's not really looking like it's very Muslim these days, But you know what I mean, right? It could be that. Persia definitely is not looking very Muslim, right? You got the Shias are really very weird. And definitely we don't have like, a lot of the lens that we had before. Allah knows best, but it could be again. And a lot of these things could happen over and over again. That's the beautiful thing about these hadith. And, that it's like it's quite general yet specific. And it could apply in different times. Okay. Let's go up. All right, you missed one. Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah. When Mustawrid al-Qurayshi sat um, was sitting with Amr ibn al-As, he said, I heard the Prophet ﷺ said, the hour will not come till the Romans will be the minority. We discussed this hadith before, and this was the one hadith that really captivated me, but it's good to reiterate this. Amr asked him, what are you saying? He said, I'm repeating what I heard from the Prophet ﷺ. Amr said, if you say this is true, because they have four good characteristics, right? And look at the fairness of Islam. Like Islam doesn't say like, okay, the Arabs are the best. And no, he's saying here that the Romans have this amazing characteristic that, well, sadly, the Muslims don't have today, right? Right. So it is because they have these four good characteristics. They are the most able to cope with tribulation, the quickest to recover after disaster and to return to fight after disaster, and are the best at as far as treating the poor, weak, and orphans is concerned. And they have a fifth characteristic, which is very good. They do not allow themselves to be oppressed by their kings. It's true. If you look at who's running most of the social welfare and so on, it is the whites, the Westerners. If you look at who's fighting corruption, okay, in general, the whites are better, it seems. And we find that in our Muslim countries, corruption is rampant, even though we have, subhanAllah, the guidance of the Quran, Sunnah. So they don't allow kings to oppress them, right? We find that in many countries this is the case. So, and they do treat the orphans, the poor, very nicely. Some of them are very nice. You find a lot of the Westerners being very kind. Sometimes it confuses Muslims. They come to me like, Brother Gabriel, like, how come they're like nicer sometimes than the Muslims themselves? Okay? So, Amr al-As praised them for that. And indeed, the Prophet ﷺ said that about they will be the majority, and Allah knows best. The Prophet ﷺ also said that you will fight the Romans, and the believers from the Hijaz will fight them after you until Allah enables them to conquer Constantinople and Rome with tasbih and takbir. Its fortifications will collapse and they will obtain the war spoils like that which has never been seen, and the Dajjal is going to come. It's the same hadith, but sometimes there's extra added to it. Okay? So when the Dajjal will appear, okay, they will say they'll hear about his deeds, so they'll go and see. And if they see that everything is normal, they will say no one would give a shout like that for no reason. So let us go together to Ilya. If we find the Dajjal there, we'll fight them together until Allah decides between us and him. If we do not fight Dajjal, we'll go back to our country and our families. The Hijaz is the area that's kind of like the middle of Saudi Arabia. Hijaz is not Jeddah, is in the middle. It's Riyadh. Okay, Riyadh is Hijaz. Okay, that's where a lot of Bedouin. That's where Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab comes from. He's from Hijaz, from the Hijaz region. Okay, and so they will go to Ilya. What is Ilya, or where is Ilya? Let's see. I'll just look it up. I think we looked at it last time. Could refer to geographically, could be in Russia, okay, near Belarus, or it could be, it's an early name for Al-Quds, for Jerusalem, okay? In Islamic history, Ilya was an early Arabic name for Jerusalem. I never knew that. It was used especially in the early Islamic centuries after the Muslim conquest. The name Ilya is believed to have derived from the Roman name Aelia Capitolina, which the Romans gave Jerusalem after the destruction of the Second Temple. So Ilya is Jerusalem. I definitely incline to believe this to be the proper meaning of this. Okay, 100%. So Ilya probably means Jerusalem, Quds. Okay, now, and I love how the Prophet ﷺ would use these names because it connects to like the Bible, it connects to the Old Testament, it connects to a lot of the scriptures and so on. So yeah, this is important to see the connection. And also in prophecies, you'll find usually that the names are not given exactly. Like, for example, the name of Muhammad ﷺ in general in prophecy is Ahmed. So the not so common names are used. I'm not sure what the wisdom behind that is, but it is very interesting, though. I would say actually quite fascinating. Okay, quite fascinating. Yeah. Now, so Mu'adh bin Jabal said, the Prophet ﷺ said, the building of Baytul Maqdis, okay, and Baytul Maqdis refers specifically to the building and that area. Why Ilya here is, yani, is the Jerusalem, like the whole city. Baytul Maqdis is just that one location, right? So that's why maybe it's used to differentiate. And it will be followed by the destruction of Yathrib, okay? The building of Baytul Maqdis will be followed by the destruction of Yathrib, which will be followed by a fierce battle, which will be followed by the conquest of Constantinople, which will be followed by the appearance of the Dajjal. Then he put his hands on the thigh or the shoulder of the one with whom he was speaking and said, this is as true as the fact that you are here. Now, let us understand a little bit. The Prophet said the building of Baytul Maqdis will be followed by the destruction of Yathrib. Now, what does it mean, the building? Could be the building of the temple. Allah Alam, you know that the Jews are trying to build the second temple. And that temple is itself Baytul Maqdis, okay, in that area. The masjid, okay, you have to understand, the masjid is what Umar Khattab radiallahu anhu built. Okay, Masjid al-Aqsa. But that area, the wall and everything is partially from Baytul Maqdis, the actual original temple or masjid. So it could be that they'll be building that, which the Jews are trying to do, obviously. And it is even in their own literature, they believe that that's only when the Messiah will come and when the Antichrist will come. So this is a very fascinating hadith. Will be followed by the destruction of Yathrib, that they'll destroy Medina. Why? I wonder why. Which will be followed by a fierce battle. I wonder why Medina. I wonder why. Because, see, the Jews have an origin in Medina, as you know. Right? So they might, Allahu Alam, build Baytul Maqdis and then attack Medina and destroy Medina. It might be. By the way, a lot of these things that are happening right now between the Americans and Saudi Arabia and all that, right? You can see that there's obviously, a lot that's at stake and a lot of cooperations. It could be, Allah knows best what's going to happen in the future. But definitely it's interesting that every action, keep this in mind, pretty much everything that's happening, it's happening in where these ahadith are pointing to. Everything is happening where these ahadith are pointing to. I mean, I think it's just amazing. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think this is just amazing that these words are so accurate and these events are so accurate. Yeah. Now, keep in mind that the Jews originate from Yathrib, a lot of them. They might want to go there, they might want to destroy. They're already gone there now, but they might want to take over and destroy Medina. Allah knows best. Okay, let's go down. It says here that this is a commentary, I believe, of Ibn Kathir. He said this does not mean that Medina will be destroyed completely before the appearance of the Dajjal, but that will be at the end of time. We shall see in some authentic hadith. But the building of Bayt al-Maqdis will be the cause of the destruction of Medina. You understand? Now, let's do a little bit of research, okay? Just a little bit of research on this, okay? I'm going to check something really quickly on the Bayt al-Maqdis, right? So they're definitely interconnected, and this is what it is. So Bayt al-Maqdis is the holy house or the sacred place. You have to understand the terminology of like temple. It doesn't mean it, okay? It's just, yeah, and it's like temple is sacred place, masjid is a place where you make sujood. Like we don't have the concept of like a church, okay? Church is just something that Christianity introduced. It was always like places, okay, of worship. So, but it's the area around Masjid al-Aqsa, okay? And it's a haram, as we know. We know it's the first Qibla, is the Isra wal Miraj, so it's very important. Okay, the second temple, right? This is that, well, it's the same area, okay? It's kind of like the same area. It's on the same site where the Aqsa and Dome of the Rock are today. Okay. It's also called like Temple Mount and by the Jews or Haram al-Sharif, right? For the Jews, they consider the holiest site on earth. For us, this is the third holiest site after Mecca and Medina. Could be that that's why the Jews might want to destroy Medina, and Allah knows best. Okay, so that's why it is connected between the two. So Masjid al-Aqsa and Baytul Maqdis are exactly the same place. But the temple. Okay, the temple is exactly, you know what I mean, the same thing. You can see why these guys are obviously fighting, right? Because the Jews, they want that. And subhanAllah, if you think about it, the only thing they need to do is just convert to Islam. They just have to accept the truth, right? They just have to accept what? The truth. Okay, but they don't want to. Allah guide them. Because, you know, the Jews are like the cousins of the Arabs. Not just that, and if you look at their theology and their ethics and morals, they're so close to ours, right? But they are arrogant. They disobeyed Allah. They deviated from the path of Musa alayhi salam, and that is why they are where they are. And then there's so much, okay? But just a interesting fact, okay, about Jews, the types of Jews that you see. So they're the Ashkenazi Jews, okay? And these are Central Europe, Germany, Poland, Russia, the white ones. They spoke Yiddish, mix of Hebrew and German, and they're actually the largest Jewish group, okay? Heavily in the US, Israel, Europe. Then you have the Sephardi Jews. Those are the Spain, Portugal, North Africa, Ottoman Empire, and so on, okay? right? And then you have the Mizrahi Jews. These are the Eastern Jews, okay? Iraq, Yemen, Syria, Egypt. They were there. They're very, very distinct from the other ones. And they are more ancient. You do have the Ethiopian Jews, which are the blacks, okay? And they are quite a lot of them. I've seen them in Palestine. And then you have the Karaite Jews, which are a minority group. And you have the Romaani Jews. They're from Greece descent, okay? And so on. So these are the ethnic groups of Jews. Probably the only one that really has claim to that they are the real descendants of Musa alayhi salam would be the Mizrahi Jews. Okay, the Mizrahi Jews, or the Middle East and North Africa, right? These would be if they would have claim to Musa alayhi salam, these would be the only ones, and Allah knows best. The other ones are, in a sense, you can say, well, kind of like converted or whatever. Okay, they don't really have any ethnicity, because for Jews the ethnicity is so important. You know that you cannot be a Jew unless your mother is a Jew, which is weird. But yeah. Okay. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, reported by Abu Huraira, that Medina, neither plague nor the Dajjal can enter it. So the plague will not enter it, and the Dajjal will not enter Medina. Well, Allah knows that this is a place of refuge, and it is one of the best places to be in the times of fitna, and it is the best place to even die, right? And that's why Prophet said that if there is a way to die in Medina, then it's good, even though most Sahabas didn't die there. Now, okay, let's go down. Okay, chapter 10, the appearance of the Dajjal. Okay, we have to, first of all, understand that the reports which mention the liars in the Dajjal will precede the coming of the Dajjal, the Antichrist. So, there's many Dajjal, but there's one Dajjal. A lot of times people get confused over that because they try to give exclusivity. So there's one Dajjal who's the main Antichrist. The Masih to Dajjal, usually referred by Masih, which is the Antichrist, Masih, okay, from Messiah. And there are many Dajjal or liars, which are other people. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ said, this is the hadith of Ja'bar ibn Samura. He said that just before the hour, there will be many liars. Be on guard against them. This is in Sahih Muslim. Be on guard against them. Many liars. Many people. Jason Smith or whatever his name is, and Paul of Tarsus, and all kinds of, Elijah Muhammad, and all kinds of Ahmed, the Ahmadiyya sect, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed, so many Dajjals, and now you have a new one who's claiming to be Mahdi. I'm sure you guys might have seen him, the guy with the hat on. He's always wearing some kind of toque on. He's some ex movie star film or something like that. He claims to be the Mahdi. Obviously, he's just a liar. The funny thing is that he's got quite a big following now, and people are defending him and making videos. And he's definitely a new figure. What's his name? Abdullah Hashim Abba al-Sadiq. He's an Egyptian American born, and he's founded something called the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, a messianic movement that's derived from the 12 Shias Islam. Of course, you would only expect this to come from Shias. And he is saying that he is Qaim al-Muhammad, the riser of the family Muhammad, and the second of the 12 Mahdis appointed. Also claims succession from Jesus, Saint Peter, Muhammad, and Ahmad al-Hassan, and position himself as the true and only legitimate pope. By the way, he says he's a pope. He's written something called the Mahdi Manifesto, the Divine Jurisprudence, and he is, I guess, in the United Kingdom with registration in the UK and USA. And there's another guy, but yeah, he's pretty much the one. Okay. Yeah, he's the one that is, there's a lot other ones. But he's the main one right now. Okay. Abdullah Hashim Abba as-Sadiq. He is Egyptian. And he was an actor before. I think he's an American citizen. Right? So all these people claim, if we could list how many there are in the last, let's say, I don't know, let's say 50 years. Let's see. Let's see. So I'll read you some names in the last 50 years. So this guy that we said, so Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Qahtani, this is the famous Juhayman al-Taybi. If you guys remember when they took over Mecca in 1979, they killed during the siege. They basically barricaded themselves in Mecca. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was a time where the tawaf stopped for the first time ever since the Prophet ﷺ made the tawaf. So that was a big one. It's 1979, before I was born. And they killed them. They brought French commandos and killed them. Then you had Riaz Ahmed Gohar in the Pakistan. Okay, then you had Dia Abdul Zahran Qadim in Iraq, Ahmed al-Hassan in Iraq. He's still active. Abdullah Hashim, this one, Abba al-Sadiq, he's still active. Sun Moon Myun in South Korea, Jose Luis, Apollo, David Icke. It seems like he claimed, described himself as the son of God. Alan John Miller, some of the Jews as well. So quite a few people that have claimed in the past 15 years to be messiahs or Mahdis and so on. Okay, so subhanAllah, you can see again Sadaqa Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay, then the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned 30 Dajjals. The hour will not come until 30 Dajjals appear. The numbers, again, they could be where the Sahaba might have heard this or that. Allah knows best, right? And a lot of times in Arabic, a number means a lot or few or many. Sometimes 70 is used, sometimes 100. It's not actually the actual number, and Allah knows best. Okay. Now, each one of them will claim to be a prophet. Okay, each one will claim to be a prophet, but the Prophet said, there will be no prophet after me. No prophet after me. No one. Okay. So these guys have claimed so much. You know, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad used to claim that he is not only the Mahdi, but Jesus. And, you know, funny thing is that they just get so confused in their statements that it just exposes them. Now, okay, let's go down. Ibn Omar said, I heard the Prophet said, among my ummah will be more than 70 callers. Okay, so now you see 70, which could mean a lot. Each one will be calling people to hellfire. If I wished, I could tell you their names and tribes, subhanAllah. So here we see that the Prophet ﷺ is given knowledge of these people. Okay, he knows their names and their tribes. And you remember, the Prophet ﷺ only is given knowledge of what Allah gives him, right? So he can have access to the unseen of what Allah gives him, but he doesn't know the unseen. Only Allah knows it, but Allah gives him from the unseen. Okay. Now, um, the next hadith will be about the Musaylima. Okay, so Musaylima was one of the Antichrists, one of the Dajjals, one of the liars who claimed to be a prophet. He was one of the first ones. Okay, one of the first ones. And we know that Al-Wahshi killed him. Al-Wahshi radiallahu anh killed him. Okay. Another version, Prophet says he's one of the 30 liars who will appear before the Dajjal. Basically, anyone who will lie and claim to have prophethood will be amongst the Dajjal. Every prophet warned against the Dajjal. You even find it in the Bible. You even find it in the Old Testament. You find it, and funny enough, they fell for it because definitely Paul was one of the Dajjals. He changed the religion of Jesus Christ. He changed the deen of Isa alayhi salam. Okay? Christianity is a deviation from Islam. It's a corruption of the Islam that was there with Ben Israel, remnants of Musa alayhi salam and the previous prophets, right? Because they followed Islam, obviously. Right? Keep in mind, Jews meant only ethnic, like saying Arabs. They meant into religion, but they were submitters, Muslims. Okay, they were Ben Israel. They're believers. Ben Israel, Jews, Hebrews, it's just their ethnicity, but they try to make the ethnicity to be their religion. And that's why, okay, the whole mother thing, okay? Why? I'll explain to you why. Okay, why is it called or passed through the mother? Matrilineal descent, it's a law, okay? And because basically they say that that's what the Deuteronomy says and the Talmudic rulings and so on. Why the mother? Because it's certainty of maternity. Okay. Before, paternity could be uncertain. Maternity was always known. You didn't know something. You couldn't check who's the father. There's no paternal tests. Right? So if a child is born to a Jewish woman, then khalas, he's Jewish. You understand? All right. Yeah. So that's why. That's why there's, in terms of, to be honest, even the Jews themselves differ over this. Okay. Even the Jews themselves differ over this. Now, okay, let's go down. Anas ibn Malik said, the Prophet said, the time of the Dajjal will be years of confusion. People will believe a liar, disbelieve the one who tells the truth. People will distrust one who is trustworthy, trust the one who is treacherous. Okay. And the Ruwaybida will have a say. Someone said, who are the Ruwaybida? He said, those rebel against Allah and will have a say in general affairs. SubhanAllah. Look at that. Wallahi, wallahi, when you read this hadith, you're like, Ya Allah, amantu billahi rabba, amantu billahi rabba wa bil Islam dina. You just believe, like you just, SubhanAllah, look at how, that's exactly how it is, right? Years of confusion. Liars. Liars will be believed. Truthful people will be liars. Things will be twisted. Right now, if you're good and you speak the truth, you are punished. If you're an evil who rebel against Allah, look at what's happening in the Muslim Ummah. You have a say in the public affair. Look at that. Who are the leaders? Who are the leaders of the world, man? The most fasiq people, the most evil people. How they behave. You know what I mean? So, Sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said the truth. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Okay? No, so yeah. I mean, what more do we want? The people who rebel against Allah, those who don't want to follow the rules of Islam, those who imagine you have it in your power. You have the ability, the money, the power to do the right thing, and you insist on not doing it. Not just that, you have leverage in resources, and people need you and need what you have, and yet still you are not doing the right thing. There's a difference between someone's compelled by hunger and poverty. Someone who is given affluent resources and people are in need of that, yet still insist, then, well, I don't know. It is what it is, isn't it? All right, let's go down. Go down. Okay, let's stop here. Chapter 11, inshallah. And bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we'll continue next week, inshallah. I know Friday is Eid. I'm not sure if hopefully everyone's going to have the same Eid. We'll see. But, we will see each other on Sunday, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, hopefully, if everyone's okay with that. Inshallah, because Eid should be on Friday. Unless you guys don't want to, but, Friday, Saturday. Okay, Eid's on Saturday, Malaysia, really? Okay. That's fine, okay. Well, let me know. Let me know, inshallah, if you guys want to do class one, okay? Barakallahu fikum. I will go now to pray. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة
الله. جزاك الله خير الشيخ.
جزاك الله خير.
وإياكم.